So my name is Raymond. I'm also none of the above because I graduated from the law school this past May and I took the bar exam in July. Currently I work at Cypher Shaw where I am an associate pending bar admissions, which I found out at the end of this month. And I spent my 2L summer at Cypher Shaw and my 3L year at Cypher Shaw also. My 1L year I spent at a different big law firm in St. Louis. And I share that with you because the topic of today's talk is what to do when you kind of have no offer, and what do you have to do now to secure an offer for next summer. It might be a little strange because I just shared with you that I had an offer, a really good offer my first summer, a really good offer my second summer. What am I doing here? I'm here to just basically share with you what happened to me between that 1L summer that got me to get my offer for my 2L summer. So for my 1L summer, I was very lucky. We had a wonderful career counselor at the time, she's sitting right there, who I was able to call up and say, hey, I got this big law interview coming up. It's a screener interview, it's only 15 minutes. What do I have to do my best? Sat down with her for 30 minutes, changed my life, got through the screener interview, and now I have this long 3-hour interview from the videos coming up. And I said, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do now? Because I really want this job. Sat down with her for another 40 minutes, went amazing. She was one of the first people I notified when I got that offer. Had a great 1L summer. And during my 1L summer, I, like some of you in here, did my OCI interviews. Things were looking good, right? I had screener interviews scheduled and I did callback interviews. But all of a sudden, once it was like the end of August and coming into September, when I was coming back to school, I met all of my friends who did New York OCIs, and they were coming back with wonderful offers. Things were going great. I was still waiting, and I didn't know what to do anymore, right? Everyone had offers, everyone was doing fine, and here I was just very nervous and not sure, should I call them back because they did that OCI interview. Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do during my next callback interview because those probably didn't go so well. During that time, I was very nervous. It was a terrible time for me as a 2L. Some of you that might have met me during that time knows like I just didn't talk to anyone because I was just focused on landing the job that I needed to get, right? That was very serious to me, and I'm sure it's serious to a lot of you. And during that time, I really sat down and evaluated what I did well my 1L year, where I was my 2L year, and what it was that I had to change in order to just start converting some of these things into offers. I wanted a backup plan, I wanted a current plan. I just basically wanted to know what to do because some of the advice I was getting was just go network, right? And if anyone knew who I was 1L to a year, I could tell you, I'm like, I have a network, I just don't know what to do with it, right? Something is happening during my interviews, I'm not sure what. So that's what I'm here to share with you, right? Basically what I found out in those tools and that framework that really helped me during that little time frame before I got an offer, that I really feel helped me get my offer at Cypher Shaw. So that's what I'm here to share with you. So hopefully that'll help you. It helped me help my friends when I started mentoring other law students. Turns out I think it helped them too. They are all doing pretty well. So that's just what I'm here to share with you today, all right? So I know no one here is a 1L, right? But I want to just talk about 1L year real quick because we were all 1Ls at some point. Unless you're an LLM, you're not exactly a 1L at some point, but we pretty much know what that experience is like. In your 1L year, in my opinion, you have one job when you're meeting people during interviews, right? Sarah calls us Geico. I won't try to take this away from her, but basically your job is to show as much promise as you can to the people that you meet. You want to show them that you're genuinely enthusiastic and interested in what it is that they do, right? When you're a 1L, everyone wants to talk to you. You walk down the hallway, people want to give you outlines, meet with you for coffee and all of that, and you probably think to yourself, I have so much to do, I need to focus on my grades, I'll go meet with people and chat with them later, right? That's not what I advise, right? A lot of people want to talk to you right now as a 1L because you have a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of promise, but once you get closer to your 2L year, things start to change, okay? So let's talk about 2L, which is where most of us are here now, right? Right now, if you cold email an attorney or if you want to reach out to someone, things are probably a little different and you're going to feel a little bit different about your interactions with attorneys and potential employers. Just going to be very open. You don't have to volunteer if you don't want to, but what happens when you meet with someone and they say, oh, where do you go to law school? You say, I go to Emory, I'm a 2L. What do they ask you right at that point? What do they ask? What do they ask?
What's your summer plans?
What are your summer plans? And what do they ask you? It's September, you just started your 2L year, and they're asking you right now when they just met you and you're a 2L, what are you doing next summer? They want to know that right away. What are your classmates asking you? What are the 3Ls asking you? They're asking you, what journal are you on? Right? All of a sudden, it's not the happy 1L you anymore. People aren't volunteering things for you anymore. They're trying to assess you immediately right on the spot. And it happens very kind of naturally. Even us, sometimes we're really guilty of doing it ourselves. We immediately go, what did you do last summer? What are you doing next summer? What journal are you on? What's this, what's that? And it kind of sucks, right? But I'm here to share with you, during that time that happened to me too, right? And it was really weird for me because I had such a great 1L summer. I have no idea what I'm doing next summer, though I'm confident I could land something good. And I knew that during my 2L year, I was gonna grow and do so much more, right? So what I want to share with you is this particular insight, okay? During a 2L year, when people ask you those questions, it's because they're trying to assess one thing, well, three things, right? The first thing I say is they're trying to assess what level, what like volume of work you can do. How much of work can you do? That's part of why they're starting to ask you that. After they ask you the volume of work you can do, they start asking what level of sophistication and complexity of the work it is that you can handle, right? And then they want to know, horizontal, vertical, they want to know if you can do it with a smile, right? Those are the three things they're really trying to find out. What volume of work you can do, what level of complexity, and what's the manner in which you're going to handle it. That is why they ask you those questions, right? If you want to wrap it up very simply, they want to know right then and there, if I invest in you right now, is your advice going to be valuable? Because as a lawyer, your job is going to be to give legal advice. And their hope if they hire you is that your legal advice will be valuable. What kind of legal advice is valuable? The type of legal advice that goes out a lot, because you can handle a lot of it at once, that can answer very complex questions, and that can be done without you being a jerk, right? So that's the type of legal advice that goes well. And that's why they ask you right off the bat when you're a 2L, and maybe even at the end of your 1L year, when anyone meets you, so what are you doing next summer? Okay? What's going on? And what are you doing next summer? Are you on a journal? Are you on this? Are you on that? They're basically trying to figure out what of those things, what level you're at those things. It's a pretty intimidating question, especially if you're not fully sure yet, and especially if you're in a room and your friend there is going to this impressive law firm and spent last summer with this judge and is on this journal. You're not quite sure what you are going to say in order to make the right impression. I want to share with you, it's not what you answer, it's how you're going to answer it, right? And Sarah and I will share some insights later about how you might approach that. But that's one of the main things that you want to pay attention to in your 2L year, right? So what can you do right now, since most of you are 2Ls, if things aren't quite working out for you, or even if they are working out, but you kind of want a backup plan? What I would say, the easiest way for me to kind of make that thing very actionable is to think about your update, right? I call this an update because during my summer when I was studying for the bar exam, a lot of you guys called me, so if I fail the bar, it's your fault. But I found myself repeating this piece of advice over and over, and I think it's helpful. Think about your update. So if you were in my position where the OCI interviews didn't quite land something immediately, right? You're probably tempted to reach back out to some of the folks that you've met. Maybe when you met them as a 1L, maybe during the interviews, right? So I remember one particular student asked me, hey Ray, I really got along with that person who interviewed me. I kind of feel like I'm following up with them, just letting them know that I'm still interested, just in case, right, something happened or someone else took another offer. And he asked me, did you think I should do that? And I just told him, no, I think it's the most stupid idea in the world, okay? It's not the most stupid idea in the world, okay? But I basically told him at the time, now it's about October, right? We just got into October. You met them 2 months ago. What exactly did you do in these 2 months that's gonna change their mind about why they rejected you in the first place? Like, did you do anything so profound to show them that, no, now you can handle more volume, more complexity, or that the manner in which you do things is suddenly very different? Probably not, right? So I advise them, don't send them something right now, unless they've asked you and they really, really express an interest in you reaching out. But I do want you to keep them in mind. Add them on LinkedIn, keep them posted, and I want you to think about what that update is gonna be when you send them an email next year, or the next time you bump into them, or whenever it is that you're ready. So how do you plan right now to show that you can handle a greater volume of work right? So if you're on a journal, you're lucky, they give you a lot of work. And if you're not, that's fine. You can find other projects to get involved in, right? You can do directed researches, you can do a lot of volunteer work, a lot of pro bono work. That's all stuff that you can do to demonstrate I can handle a larger volume of work. It's not just my Civ Pro class and my memo and all that. I can actually do a lot more, right? You need to start thinking about what you can do right now to show that you can handle a deeper level of work, right? So it's not just Civ Pro and LegReg. Now you're maybe taking labor and employment law. Maybe you're diving into securities. Whatever it is, you want to just think about that. If you're on a law journal, pay attention to the research topics that you're the topic that you're writing about. And if you're not on a law journal, consider doing a directed research. Because the point is you want to be able to show them, hey, I can handle more sophisticated work, not just the 1L stuff, right? So as a 2L, do those things. And it will make a huge difference when you update them down the road, right? Update doesn't just mean an email, it also just means that you bump into them later. And when they ask you, what's been going on? What are you doing next summer? Have you figured out what you're doing yet? So just think about these answers, right? If you were to bump into someone right now in October, and if you were to just say, hey, just want to let you know I'm still interested in your firm. If you still have any opportunities, I'm all for it. You don't have much new to say from when you met with them, 2 months ago when they gave you the time to interview you. Versus if you actually take the time to handle more work, handle more complex work, right? You can say, hi, Happy New Year, which is a great excuse to get back in contact with someone. I remember meeting you last summer when we chatted, and I know, I've seen these updates on LinkedIn. That's great. I hope things are going well at your firm. I'm writing just to express that I still have an interest in labor and employment law, just like I did when I met you that one time. I did so well, don't say I did so well, but you can just say, I even wrote my law review article on it, and my most recent draft was finished, and I'd be happy to share it with you because I know that your partner writes a blog every so often. I'd be happy to share my insights. I just completed my internship or externship at the EEOC, and this semester I'm planning to get more litigation experience by externing at a courtroom. I'm still interested in any opportunity that you may present, and your firm is certainly my first choice. But if you know of any other opportunities that you think I should go after, I would really appreciate it if you could connect me with them. I'd be happy to chat with you more. Here's my updated resume and my updated transcript with my awesome grades, if you're interested. So that makes a huge difference, right? I use an email example for that, but there are always networking holiday parties. When you bump into someone again at the end of the year, if you can give them a solid update, right? That's something you can actually do right now, right? And pay attention to, and it'll hopefully bring you more value than if you're just reaching out cold, all right? So that's 2L year, right? The point again is for you to just think about how you can show them your advice is valuable. And again, think about volume, think about what level of sophistication it is of the work you can present, and think about that update when you reach out to them again. Now I'm going to talk about 3L year. We have at least one LLM in this room, and one of the things that I advise LLMs about, right, is when you're an LLM, it's kind of a weird situation because you are new to this school. But what I say to you is when you're an LLM, you need to play the 3L game, right? Not a 1L game, not a 2L game, you need to play the 3L game. Just like in an actual video game, when you beat the level 1 boss, you have to fight the level 2 boss. The level 2 boss is way harder, and you cannot use your level 1 skills against a level 2 boss. You can't forget your level 1 skills, but you're gonna have to just level up each time, right? Note already right now, 1L, there's a certain game that you have to play. 2L year, you're gonna have to advance that a little bit. Part of the reason why OCI is very tough is that it happens before 2L year began, right? And you might still be playing a 1L game, right? So I just talked about playing the 2L game. For your 3L year, right? Your job is not just to present that you're enthusiastic, right? That you have potential and that your advice is valuable. Your job is also to show, right now, I'm a colleague of yours. I'm a member of this profession. Why? Because when they're talking to you and you're a 3L, they're not gonna see a promising 1L. But, Ray, I'm very enthusiastic. And you know what? So are all the 1Ls over there. And they have a lot more potential, and their grades are different. So I'm gonna talk to the 1Ls if I'm looking for enthusiasm. As a 3L, what you can do, right, is show that I'm a member of this profession. I'm a professional, I'm a colleague. And if they can talk to you, and if in their heads they can see someone, oh, you look like someone, or you sound like someone that can be in my office, that changes the game. As an LLM, that's also expected of you because you already have a first degree in law, right? So you want to think about being a colleague, right? How do you think about being a colleague when you're just a student? It's kind of a weird place to be. I was sharing with Sarah earlier because she asked me, Ray, were you a JD MBA? And I said I wasn't, because I spent a lot of my 3L year at the business school. Why? Because I knew what job I was going to get into, and I knew I needed to learn how to talk shop. So if you're a 3L or LLM, and maybe even if you're a 2L and you're on the ball, I suggest you learn how to talk shop. And when I say talk shop, I just mean you want to learn about the businesses that drive the practice you're interested in, right? A couple of weeks ago at the GAPABA speed networking event, we were giving advice for people or to law students as they were giving pitches. And I remember there was one student who just said, I'm really interested in transactional law and securities and transactions, which would have been great if she were a 1L, right? And I just asked a question because I was trying to help her and go, oh, what's a deal that you can tell me about that recently happened? She had no idea, right? And so I ask you that question, right? If you have an interest in a particular area of law, environmental, transactional, litigation, and if I ask you a real question, oh, tell me about the blah, blah, blah merger. Tell me about this. Do you know about that development? Do you have something to say, right? Because once you're practicing, that's what people are interested in, right? So learn to talk shop, right? Because that's what actual lawyers do when they bump into each other. Oh, are you involved in that deal? Oh yeah, I heard about that. And then he cried at the testimony and got really mad and drank beer, right? People start talking about those real things. And it doesn't matter if you're doing big law like transactional law, where maybe you're super interested in telecommunications as an industry, learn one or two things about that. And it doesn't matter if you are doing something small, like if you're interested in personal injury. What is involved in personal injury? Cars, medical malpractice. Learn something about cars, learn something about hospitals, right? Because that's what people are going to be looking for when they're talking. So the first advice, if you're a 3L or LLM, learn to talk shop, right? That's going to be another base of network, another network that you can grow. If a lawyer doesn't want to talk to you, trust me, the non-lawyers will want to talk to you, so long as you don't tell them you're planning on being a lawyer. So learn to talk shop is my first piece of advice. And my second advice for the 3Ls is show up on Saturdays, right? What I mean by show up on Saturdays is show up to normal people things when you're meeting other lawyers, right? As a 1L and as a 2L, it's very easy to just sign up and just go to like panels and conferences and those things, and that's great. You should still do that as a 3L, you should still do that as a lawyer. But once you're trying to learn how to talk shop, I suggest also learn how to just be a normal human being as a colleague and as a professional. Because what happens when these people go to work, they just talk to each other about their kids. They talk about their dog. I talk about my dog all the time. But they talk about their dog. So show up on Saturdays for the normal people things and get to know them. For all of you in here, if you are looking for an opportunity next summer, you should all sign up for the T-Walk that's happening this Saturday with GAPABA. Right? If you don't know what that is, Apolso will send out information. And the reason I share that is, on that Saturday morning, basically all these attorneys come in with their kids, with their families, with their dogs, and they have food, and they just talk and hang out, right? And if you get to know someone at that level, and they can see you as a professional, that's a great way to build a relationship, all right? So just to kind of wrap up what I want to convey when it comes to playing the law school game, right? Again, you're 1L a year, most of you are past that. You want to show as much promise and potential as you can, right? Once you're a 2L, think about the volume of work you're handling, the level of sophistication, and how you're delivering it, right? And think about that update that you want to give someone the next time you see them. Those are things that you can think about, over the weekend, and that you can do over the next few months, right? And then if you're a 3L, learn to talk shop, show up on Saturdays, right? So I share all this with you, and if I just pulled back to that summer and how I used it, in between the OCIs and then getting the job offer. During the OCIs, something I didn't tell you, as lovely as it was in St. Louis, it was not my favorite place, right? During that time, I was so desperate to get a job just anywhere else. So at every interview, I did my best to be as enthusiastic as I can. I showed that I knew different things. But I was interviewing with a very different attitude. Because for me, inside, all I was thinking was, just give me a job here, I don't care what it is, because I don't want to go back to St. Louis, you're fine, right? And that comes off when you meet someone, it comes off if you're dating someone, it comes off in an interview, right? Then it was me going, I really want to do transactional law, but I also want to stay in Atlanta. The only way I can do it is if I'm here with your firm and if you give me this, right? That's very different from if you have an actual plan and you know what you're doing, right? So the little shift that I made during that time was one, I just thought about the volume of work I did as a 1L, as a summer, and the volume of work I was gonna take on as a 2L. I thought about what were some of the complex things that I've done. They're not gonna be complex and impressive to a lawyer, but what were the leaps and bounds that I've made personally, right? And I just thought about focusing on that because I can talk about those things during my interview. And if I could talk shop about a few things too, that's also great. So now I have something I can talk about that I know is valuable and that I know is cool. So when I show up and I know I have something to say, I'm not vulnerable only to what they're gonna ask me during the interview. When I'm not vulnerable about what they're just gonna ask me because I have a plan about what I'm gonna say, I'm gonna be a little bit more confident. Why am I more confident? Because I have some leverage in the situation. I have something to share, I have something to say. And if I have some leverage, it means I have some power, right? And if I have some power, it means I'm gonna be a lot more confident. And if you're more confident in yourself, they're gonna be more confident in you. Because what they want is to hire a lawyer who they will feel confident about putting in front of their clients, right? And if you just have that confidence, if you just make those small shifts, you're gonna be able to go into the interview with that attitude and kind of with that fire, rather than going into an interview going, I really need this job, just transactions. Because in their head, they might just go, we're not hiring transactions next, and you could have something really awesome to offer them that they're just not gonna pay attention to anymore. So just to kind of sum this up, there's a very good parable that I've heard that I think would be helpful for you guys right now. It's called the parable of the oranges. You might have heard this before. I'll make it in a law school-like context, right? So imagine there's a law firm, and at that law firm there are two young associates. There's Ray Tran, the superstar, and there's person B, right? The other person, right? Person B is really mad that Ray Tran gets all the attention and everyone loves Raymond, right? Person B goes, hey boss, we're both from the same law school. Why is it that you give Ray everything? Why does Ray get to be the superstar? And the boss says, I will show you. Person B, we have a bunch of clients coming over. It's Sunkist from Florida. Please go down the market. We need to buy a basket of Florida oranges. Person B goes, person B comes back and says, boss, there are no Florida oranges at the supermarket. And the boss goes, now let me show you why Ray's gonna make partner. And he goes, Ray, go down the market. Sunkist is coming in. We need Florida oranges. Ray goes, Ray comes back with 2 oranges in his hand. Ray goes, boss, there are no Florida oranges, but we have a Texas orange and a California orange. The Texas orange is most similar to the Florida orange, and it's also priced a lot cheaper. I brought them both here for you to sample so you can decide which one you want better. I told the market that they can be prepared to send 1 basket of each, and I'll give them a call later, so you just decide which one you want, right? Again, when you're interviewing, which person are you? Are you the law student who goes, nope, the analysis is wrong, that is all, but I'm very enthusiastic about transactional law? Or are you the law student who can handle a high volume of work, right, with a lot of sophistication and do it in a pleasant manner? And that's what I encourage you all to think about right now. Sarah's gonna be sharing some more tips, and after Sarah shares her tips, we'll be open to some questions and answers because we know career advice is very personal. And after we both share, we'll send around a little sign-in sheet so you can write down your emails. So if you have any additional follow-ups, I know Sarah will be here all day tomorrow to take your questions and to help you out. All day Friday, because tomorrow there's a hurricane and rain and stuff. So everyone stay safe. But I'll kind of leave you with this one last note, right? Right now, you are your own client, right? Your client wants a job, wants a great job, whatever job it is that you want, and you need to solve that problem for yourself, right? Your client's gonna give you problems. Oh, my grades weren't that great. Oh my gosh, this interview didn't go well. Oh, I blew that. If you are lawyering for yourself, you're not gonna take your own crap, right? You need to find a solution to fix that. You don't have a good grade strategy anymore? Great, find a plan B, figure it out. Invest that time in yourself right now, especially when you can, right? Because let me tell you, when they say you're set 3 out of the year, when things work out, it's a glorious feeling. I'm not gonna lie, it was really awesome. And I got to walk into a career that I really liked, right? And I knew, even though I just had a small taste about what it was like just to wait, and I see what it's like for some of my classmates now that are still waiting, right? And that are still barely starting and doing those 1L steps right now, right? So I don't want you guys to have to do that when you guys should be walking into your careers and being lawyers, okay? So take the time to invest in yourselves. Use my tips. Sarah's gonna share some more, and we'll answer some questions after this.